Hi guys, today I want to share some ideas for improving the hip flexor area. It's very important for everyone trying to be finished with extension in Olympic weightlifting, doing clean and jerk or snatch, when the hip has to move forward. Why is it so important as well is because if there are some issues with hip extension or being too stiff in the hip flexor area, then the movements are shifting somewhere else or compensating in different body parts. So for example, for the hip extension, if you're too stiff here and you're not finishing this movement, most likely it will happen something or the movement will shift to the lower back area, which is very dangerous. You don't want to do that and create some kind of movement like this in segments in lower back region, because that leads often to some issues. So instead you want to finish that hip extension and continue with the lift up. So that's the idea. Now, what's the model situation? For example, someone sitting at the work or school for many hours per day, having 90 degrees in the hip joint. That's usually an issue if you're thinking that some hour later you will do explosive extension here. For one reason, the glute is compressed sitting, which is not a very good situation for any muscle. And for another reason, the hip is taught here to be 90 degrees for most of the day. So you have to clear it up before the lifting. And there's really easy exercise to do that. So I want to share with you today. Just sitting like this, getting one foot forward, and actually using that glute muscle, the main extensor of your hip joint, to help to open up the hip flexor area. So if I squeeze really hard here, I get the hip up and I'm trying to reach a line where the knee, hip and shoulder would be all aligned in one line, at least that. And one important detail is to activate with your core. So don't end up here with open belly, but tighten it a little bit so that your lower back is protected. So you're trying to mimic the same movements you would do in Olympic weightlifting as well. You wouldn't, or you don't want to lift with arching in your lower back. The same here. You want to open up the hip, having a little bit active core so that the movement is happening only in the hip through the activation of your glute muscle. So my right foot doesn't do anything, just resting, and I'm here coming up and down, breathing out, breathing in, coming down, breathing out. Very easy. One thing to avoid is to put the knee sideways, so always point forward, have it in full contact with the ground, don't lift it up, and just shoot forward with your hip. And prior to the exercise, you could also try a test for the rectus femoris, coming from your hip down under the kneecap. It's one of the main hip flexors. So if you lay down on your belly and you ask someone or try yourself to get the heel on the hip, it should be easy. If you end up somewhere here or your friend has to push really hard, it means you have a lot of tension stored in that hip flexor area and most likely also in your quadriceps. What happens then is that more pushing, probably you get more rotation and compression in your lower back. So beware of these things and test it before you do this exercise, and try to do it before every training as a dynamic warm-up. It's a really easy exercise and helps a lot to get the hip ready for lifting. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have some ideas or comments, please share it under. Thanks.